Jack Crowley says enough is enough. And Munster are through to the semi-finals of the URC, the defending champions, overcome Ospreys, who put up a fight. They made life difficult at times, but ultimately Munster were just too strong for them.
Yeah, they were. It was a very composed performance by Munster. There's plenty of elements in it that Dennis Leamy, Graham Roundtree, Mike Prendergast will want to be better at, particularly the breakdown. The way they started with attack, you know, from that first counter-attack opportunity and Zebo scoring, that's how they want to play. But unfortunately for them, they just got a little bit one out and again struggled in the power battle. So that's something that they look to avoid against either the Stormers or Glasgow.
Full-time score in Thomond Park then in the first of our quarter-finals. Munster 23, Ospreys 7.
Thank you, Bernard, and thank you, Hugh. Well, Eddie, we talked pre-match about Munster finding the attacking flow, which we thought was nearly there. It was a very, very professional performance, but no fireworks.
No, I mean, they won the game as we predicted. If we thought the first minute, that swashbuckling rugby we saw, there's still a lot of buckles left to swash after that, you know. I mean, it kind of got, as Bernard said, one-dimensional. It got very narrow. They kicked 2 penalties. They closed out the game, but there was nothing like the first few minutes we saw, and I was hoping they started so well they would continue as they started, and they didn't.
Yeah, look, I mean, we can crib because it was a clean sheet bar, that bit of magic that led to the 7 points for the Ospreys. The line-out was well oiled, but in terms of finding that kind of attacking flow, why was it missing tonight?
You got to give Ospreys a bit of credit. They disrupted the ruck a little bit. But Munster were just, like you said, a professional. I'm not going to say ruthless or efficient, but they did what was needed. Yes, their attacking was in flow, but like there's plenty there to work on. There was plenty of good. Their defensive set wasn't really threatened, bar the little kick space. Now that is something teams will scout if Munster present that going forward, and better teams will unlock that. But I think they can be. It's what you want, right? You got the win. You're going into a semi-final. Couple of learnings in terms of your attack. It did get a bit of one out, which is what we're not used to seeing from Munster, and so plenty of work on. So it ticks a lot of boxes for them.
Yeah, and again, like in the mists of time, it becomes a forgotten result pretty quickly when we roll over to a semi-final and possibly a final. Donncha, just give us your overall, fair summation of Munster's performance there. Yeah. Job done, of course.
Exactly, and that's it, and that's what they'll come away from it. There's an awful lot to work on, though, areas of the game that they'll look at it, when they had possession, exploiting it, and Bernard mentioned the breakdown. For me, I thought Jack Crowley was right, man of the match, fantastic game in terms of game management, but what I would love to see him do is barking at his backs to get them organised and set into position. It is very easy to defend 1-0 runners if there's no animation out the back, and I found that an awful lot tonight. There was no threat from the backs, no back sweeping. I know we point the finger at the forwards, and of course I'm going to jump in for them, but I actually think we attack, and this Munster attack best when it's all connected, and tonight I didn't see enough from the backs to connect it all.
Connected is a good word. I mean, we didn't see the wings in action in an offensive and an attacking sense, Jamie. We saw, they did their job under the high ball, they did their job in defence, but we didn't see them.
No, and to Donnacha's point, when Munster are getting in flow, they're busy. The wingers are turning up, the back three are turning up everywhere on the field, but they just didn't get into that, and at times made it a bit easy for the Ospreys to defend them because it was one out. You could make the read. There was nothing out the back threatening or taking the eye off the front line defence, and Munster will have to work on that because the better sides that are coming down the road to them, they're not going to be able to win like they did tonight.
Dictate the game effectively. What about the 8-day turnaround? I noticed Edinburgh and Munster had a great battle a few weeks ago. Munster had been in South Africa. You could make the argument they're just a bit jaded. They might need a little bit of a couple of days to...
I think you're at the time of the season when it's all on. You can't look for excuses. You got to show up and play, whether it's an 8-day, 7-day, 6-day turnaround.
Well, what if you go groping for that switch and it's not there, which is...
Well, you can't blame the fact you're tired. If you don't find the switch this time of the year, you get beaten, and your season's over. Okay. So you've got to overcome that stuff. It can't be part of the narrative. Okay. Just got to get on with it and get the job done. I think the other thing tonight is, the disappointing thing is, we saw the Ospreys dominate coming up to half time for 15 minutes and they could not score. And they never looked like scoring in the second half. So the game was never going to be lost. So the question was, why didn't Munster just finish the game out, put their foot in their throat and really run in a few scores and polish it? And the second half, they didn't do it. They had 6 points in the second half. They dominated the second half. Territory possession. Conditions weren't great, but they weren't unplayable. So, you know, they got narrow. They got one off. The stuff we saw in the first few minutes of the game disappeared. If they play better teams who are going to score tries against them and are not going to give them that sort of dominance, where are they going to get the winning scores from? That's the question they've asked themselves. We're in the business end of the season, and you've got to start looking at those things hard, or else you'll be reviewing the game when you've lost the game. If you could have been more accurate, you might have won. And I didn't see that in the second half. I was looking for it. It disappeared from their game, and that's the worrying thing. I think you have to say that.
Yeah, it's just, I agree with you. It's managing the squad as well a little bit. You're going to get no fitter or no stronger. Now it's about actually getting the game plan on the pitch that the lads can execute. So an 8-day turnaround isn't a bad thing, but also having this place absolutely hopping on Saturday.
On a Saturday.
Yeah, because this team deserve it. You know, they really do. They've been brilliant over the last 2 years. For it to have a Thomond Park like we haven't seen all season will be amazing.
Yeah, no, well spoken. I mean, a semi-final is a semi-final. It will be here in Thomond Park tomorrow week. Let's hear from the player of the match. Here's Jack Crowley.
Yes, Jack Crowley is today's BKT URC player of the match, and the Munster captain Tadhg Beirne standing by to do the honours. Tadhg, thank you. Jack, congratulations. It's a 10th straight win in this competition, which sees you through to a home semi-final in 8 days' time. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, I'm delighted that we could get our first playoff for this group in front of a home stadium, a win. And the important thing is that we're through to next week. But I think there's a few areas we'll definitely look at in improving, in our attack particularly, and a small bit in our discipline. But delighted we could get a win here and move on to the next stage.
The fact that it became a difficult encounter, how much was that down to Munster's performance? How much was it down to how difficult the Ospreys made it for you?
Yeah, I think it's a credit to Ospreys. We knew that they're a team that play for each other a lot, and they never give up right till the end, and we've seen that throughout the URC with the results they're getting away from home as well. So I think it's a credit to them, and then also a few areas we need to tidy up and be better at for next week.
Breakdown was tricky, conditions not perfect, but you showed a lot of patience in that second half and game management, which knockout rugby is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a win's the most important thing and move to the next stage. But that's the beauty of it. We get to review it on Monday and look to get better, and that's what this is. It's all about getting better and improving, because the team's going towards the place that you want to go, or getting better as well. So yeah, but we'll enjoy this, but we know we need to be better.
Thanks as always, Jack. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Let's bring in Tadhg Beirne then. Tadhg, not too many people give the Ospreys a chance tonight. Certainly the Munster playing staff did, and Graham Rowntree said beforehand it would be a tough game, and so it proved.
Yeah, it was very tough. Frustrating from our point of view, probably. We weren't very clinical, which is obviously the frustrating part. I feel like we probably could have come away with a better victory than we did, but credit to Ospreys, they kept us out there, and they forced us to knock it on, and you know, you got to give credit to them for the fight they put in it, but at the same time delighted to get through, and we'll be back here next week, which was the goal.
How much is your current form, the last couple of weeks in particular, a concern, or is it good to have something to work on at the business end of the season, keep you focused?
Yeah, no, it's always, you've always got stuff to work on, so I'm not concerned at all. I think we showed that the first phase of play there, we showed exactly what we're able to do, and we just kind of went off script once or twice, which are easy fixes, and you know, when the ball got slippy, we needed to, you know, adjust to that as well, and they're the things we'll look at. But I don't think the performance is poor. You know, we just weren't clinical, but there were some really good parts out there.
It kind of feels like, certainly as evidenced by the Simon Zebo try inside 90 seconds, that when that back line clicks, somebody's going to be on the wrong end of a big score from Munster. But every game now, as you progress, the opposition will get more difficult.
Yeah, 100%. I think the backs were on point there. I think the forwards were doing their job as well, and you know, when everyone's doing their job well, that's what we're able to do. You know, but credit to Ospreys, they were able to hold us out then for most parts of the game, even though we had majority of the possession.
Thanks a million, Tadhg. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Conor. Eddie?
Well, I think they're admitting themselves that, they're not happy with that performance. They take the win, they move on, they get better. But the truth of the matter is that the attacking shape that we talked about in the first half that looked so good, or we talked about before the game, that we saw in the first few minutes, and we thought, here we go, they're on song tonight. It disappeared in the second half. The whole thing became too narrow. We were looking at it from the end on here, high up, and you could see the shape disappeared. They were playing one-off rugby, and the conditions weren't that bad. So for some reason they weren't able to get into the shape they wanted to play, and they admitted it there, that they got into this one-off game. And I think that's when the pressure comes on. If you're going to revert to type, it's going to be difficult because there's more pressure coming. So they'll have to look at that and say, we've got to be able to find that shape, play that game. It's the game that suits us, the game that works for us. Got to play them under pressure. And they came under pressure tonight and they went back to type, they went narrow. And to me, that's a worry. You have to admit that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where coaching comes in. Yeah, you kind of showed moments before the game where you can exploit it and take advantage of it. And that actually pumps the wheels within the team and the environment. But they touched on it there. They know it's snakes and ladders at this point of the year. It does not matter for winning 10 from here on in. One loss, it's all over. So it was good to hear that from Jack and from Tadhg as well. They know they can't perform like that again.
And does it have an impact, Jamie, when you kind of have the opposition at arm's length throughout the 80 minutes, which I'd suggest they really did there tonight?
Yeah, look, they control it. I think, you're not going to hear the captain say anything about being concerned around it. I think, what we're looking for before the game, we were looking for a consistent 80-minute performance. And I don't think we got that. And I think later in the competition, it is going to demand it of them. And they have to be better. And they know all that stuff. But, against the better side, are they going to be able to unlock them with what they've shown over the last couple of weeks? I'm not too sure. And they know that. They need to get better. And they have plenty of ability to do so.
Yeah, if you were opposition, though, you would say that's exactly how we go after Munster.
Okay.
Make the breakdown a nightmare.
Okay.
But I think that you have to take into account the quality of the opposition they played tonight. Now, in fairness, Ospreys defended really hard, put their bodies on the line. For them, it was the last game of the season. They kind of knew it. But, they're going to, as you said, they're going to play better teams. They're going to have the ball, going to stretch them more. And when they attack those teams, they're going to have the ability to pick them apart. And the second half, when the pressure was on, we didn't see that. We saw it early on, and they referenced it. But can you deliver that over 18 minutes? Because to win the trophy, it probably needs that.
Okay, well, expectations slightly dampened after a quarter-final. Professional performance. Munster never really in any danger.